Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at Amazon. It is time for another update, and this was also a stock analysis request from a couple of viewers, including one of our members, and I wanted to let you know that anyone can make these requests and I try to cover as many as possible, although with the ongoing demand it has been impossible basically to keep up, and I have to prioritize the stocks that are in high demand and the member requests when there is a video slot open. Now, on this chart, we have been tracking the idea of an impulse, and we start here with a 1-2 setup. This serves as our base for the larger unfolding wave 3 to the upside. And within this wave 3, I have made a small change, and previous we had this labeled as a single 1-2 setup. Now, I prefer that we actually shift it a bit to a larger single 1-2 setup within this area. And it is disproportionate, but I have been assessing the structure within this chart, and I believe this is an appropriate readjustment because on such large timeframes, it isn't uncommon that markets shift the sentiment for certain stocks that can get triggered by companies pivoting and shifting completely their growth potential, which allows even less favorable structures to form impulses. So here, yeah, I would like to track this as an initial leading diagonal. Doesn't really matter in the end, even once we would be completing the entire wave 3 to the upside, because we might be getting an extension in one of the waves 5 that would form along this area that would allow either structure to actually work out, even potentially a series of 1-2 setups within this area that could realistically work out. I wouldn't overthink it, and honestly, the internal structure within this area is not affected in any capacity until it builds the actual wave 3 internally, yeah? Until this structure in the wave 3 is built, it really is not affected in any manner by the prior structure. So here we are focused on the idea of an impulse that would be information. And we would be tracking here a 1, 2, 3, 4th, and a 5th. I will try to go through this a little bit quicker because otherwise it will take me literally half an hour to go through the entire chart, through all the expectations. So here we are assuming a potential top within this wave 3, and we are tracking this area of support for a potential wave 4. This is the last resort area of support because unless we break the $46.4 level, we can still track an impulse. Even in a less bullish expectation where a wave 5 in this area would have formed a quite early top for the position it is within, where normally we would be looking for even an extension in a 5th wave in this area in something like a 5-wave move instead. But that is the last resort. If we fail to hold the 50% retracement here, it is our strong signal that this structure would fail to create an impulse. Now, again, preferably, I would expect this 5th wave to form an extension in possibly even more than one ways, and that is exactly what we will focus on. We will not even leave this area of support on the chart because we are still so far from it, and I believe there will be many opportunities to be had before we look for this area of support even. Now, before we move into the smaller time frame, I wanted to briefly mention our channel newsletter where you get access to our monthly top picks, where we identify for you the high quality structures, the high quality stocks to look for and to track along with us. The link for sign up is in the description and it is completely free, but if you enjoy the content and you want to support the channel, you can check out our channel membership. The link for that is in the description as well, or you can click the join button and you will get access to some cool perks, including additional content. You can find the link for that in the description, or you can click the join button. And if you want the full details on the newsletter and on the channel membership, you can check out our channel update video. It's on the channel page or as the intro for the members. Now, back to the chart. Here, as I was saying, I would actually prefer this 5th wave to form an extension. So here I'm tracking this blue structure that would consider this instead to be only a wave 1 to the upside, and we would be looking to form an entire impulse with a wave 2 to follow, a wave 3, a wave 4, and a wave 5 to complete this wave 5, to complete this larger wave 3. Now, to be clear, this is not necessary. That is why it is called an extension, But for this idea, I would strongly expect to reach the area of support that starts at the $165 and goes all the way down to the $104 at the 78.6% retracement. And as long as we hold here, this last level of support, we can still track with the same high probabilities continuation to higher prices. Now, one key caveat within this structure. This isn't going to be directly a high probability area of support because this is not an initial 5-wave move to the upside. It is a 5-wave pattern, but it is not an initial 5-wave pattern. So ideally, we would identify a 3-wave correction and then an initial 5-wave pattern within a smaller time frame that would allow us to look for a high probability internal 1-2 setup that would provide us very strong probabilities for continuation in a follow-up wave 3 and would basically confirm our expectation for extensions to higher prices without actually following through. Now, it's not a guarantee, but the probabilities would increase strongly if this is to occur. Yeah, looking for a 1-2 setup within this area will be extremely lucrative. It will be able to provide us great returns with comparably extremely low risk. Now, again, if this is to form a wave 2 within this area in the blue structure, I would strongly expect to reach the area of support that starts at the $165. It has some additional structural support around this area as well that we can track, that we can consider, and we have to build a 3-wave pattern to have a valid wave 2 correction. If we build a 5-wave move to the downside, I would have to look for a 3-wave correction and then at least another 5-wave move to the downside. Now, that might hold or not the area of support. It will remain to be seen if it even occurs. Now, currently, for this to be the case, to track such an area of support, we would need to assume a top to already be in place, yeah, either within the white structure in the wave 5 or within the blue structure in the wave 1. Extensions are possible. Once again, extensions mean that the count can be considered full, but that it is not necessary, that we may see an extension, another move to the upside that would still allow the pattern to have a complete structure. So for this, we have been tracking this yellow interpretation for which we have the area of support extending all the way down to the $178.7. In the previous video, we also had this area of support and we had a potential 3-wave correction into the first level where we even created a reaction to the upside, but we didn't manage to extend in the follow-up wave C. And we did highlight in the previous video this area of resistance in orange that was telling us we still have pressure to continue to lower prices against the $248.6 level. We have pushed perfectly into the last level of resistance and we have extended to lower prices. Now, within this structure, in this wave B, I would have unfortunately an extremely high amount of options for the pattern that I could be tracking. I will unfortunately not be able to provide you a very clearly distinct count from all the options that we have because within probably 3 or 4 interpretations in this area, I would have a heavily overlapping area of resistance because while I only have a low I can consider to start our internal correction from, I have 3 extremely similar tops within this area that would only shift the resistance levels ever so slightly. So while this structure is not suggesting to us strongly what count is more likely to occur, what structure is more likely to play out, this pattern, the way it has unfolded this structure, is strongly suggesting to us that this is a low probability area, that this is going to be extremely difficult to identify a clear structure. This is not the theory telling us, I don't know what is happening here. This is the theory telling us this is an area with an extremely high amount of options and you might want to sit on the sidelines until it clears out. So what would I need for this pattern to clear out? Well, ideally, I would get a larger, more significant correction and then the next wave to the downside. Within most structures that I'm tracking that I can identify within this area, we can name a few, but within all of them, I would ideally expect to form another low within this area. So firstly, it could be an ABC pattern. Now for this wave C, I don't have a full count. That much is clear. I would be looking for at least a fourth and a fifth to have a more clearly defined 5-wave pattern, because the wave C must be a 5-wave move. If this is to form a large leading diagonal, I would be looking for a 1, 2, 3, 4th and a 5th. But for this to be a reliable wave 3, I would need to reach the 138.2% extension of the wave 1 that is at the $193 level. That is not the case yet. It doesn't mean it cannot unfold as a leading diagonal and to have this as a wave 3 already in place, but it's not telling us it's a high probability necessarily. This would imply this to be something like an ABC pattern. And then in addition to all of this, we could be getting an internal extension within this area, within this supposed wave C that could be either within the large wave 3 or within a WXY pattern, yeah? So we have basically 3.5 options. Within all of them, we would like to see another low, and based on how this wave 4 correction unfolds within this area, assuming it has started, because even this could extend in a more direct fashion to the downside, yeah? But assuming a wave 4 correction has started, depending on how it unfolds within this area, it might be able to provide us additional data. Now, unfortunately, even that is not a guarantee, but I would be looking strongly at the proportions we would form within this area. For example, if we form something similar with this internal supposed wave 2, I would be looking potentially for a wave C to have extended here. Yeah, we get here something like this in a wave 4 correction. If we get something larger, I could be looking for a larger wave 4 correction within a large wave C. If we get an even larger wave 4 correction similar in proportions with what we have here, I might be looking for a leading diagonal to form to the downside and yeah, to have here a 5-wave pattern. Now, while I cannot provide you a clear structure, a clear count that would be much more favorable compared to the others, I can provide you a very relevant level of resistance to watch, because it would be a signal that a more substantial bottom would be in place, and that would be for a potential wave 3, yeah, a potential wave 3 in this area already being formed, and we would be looking for a wave 4 correction within the idea of a diagonal structure, so we are watching the $227.4 level. Within the smaller time frame, I won't even go. I believe it will be mostly a waste of time. I might be looking here for an internal ABC structure to extend to lower prices. We could consider, and we could be prepared to extend directly lower at any point. Nothing substantial has formed to the upside. Even this, as a supposed wave A, could extend itself. Yeah, it might form here only tiny wave 4 and a 5th wave. So I really think it's mostly meaningless to go into that time frame at this point. So what should we take away from this? In terms of resistance, we have the $227.4. The structure within this area is highly complex and offers a wide variety of possibilities. It is best to wait for more clarity to occur. Now, if you want to consider this yellow area as an accumulation area, it is your choice. You may want to already start accumulating because a bottom may form at any point. We are within the area of support. I wouldn't personally consider this a favorable area for accumulation, but you do you. And in terms of support for the larger time frame, we have here for the yellow structure the $178.7. Below this level, the probabilities shift towards ideally extending in a wave 2 to the downside in the blue structure. And for the large time frame perspective, we are watching here the $104 level. This blue area is actually a lot more interesting to me, especially if it forms here internally within the larger wave 3, an initial 5-wave move to the upside, and could provide substantial returns in the overall structure that could be forming in the wave 3. Yeah, remember the ideal target is the 138.2% extension of the wave 1. I cannot provide you the ideal target currently because the wave 2 has not bottomed yet, but we could be looking for some assumptions, and to remind you, we can even surpass the ideal target. It's not a place we must stop at. So for example, if we were to retrace into the 61.8% retracement, the ideal target sits at the $600 level. So this blue structure could provide us a strong and extremely great opportunity, but it is not yet activated. The area of support only starts at the $165 level. And for now, these are the levels, this is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you want me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.